It sure is a tiny little thing you've got.
All right, I think this is, it's working now. All right, so, okay, it's working now. I'm going to set this down there. So, for this session, I'm trying to get some notes I have up. We were going to talk about some good stories that you have from over the years. And if I can find my note.
Well, I mean, you've heard probably most of them. You know my Phil Spector story under deposition, right?
That one we talked about, yes.
Okay, and you know my
He's having a bagel. I can't listen.
whatever, and you know my story about Lionel Richie and Wandering Stranger.
I don't remember. I know that story. I don't remember if you put it on here. If I don't, that one I don't remember if we talked about on this one, but I know the story. So I will go ahead and add the Wandering Stranger story as I know it. And then you talked also, I thought was great, about the kid that called you up about the 10 Commandments.
Right.
About the 15 Commandments.
15 Commandments.
So tell me about that.
Well, Mel Brooks in History of the World Part 1 was portraying Moses coming down from the mountain. And I said, I have here 15 commandments. I have here 15. He trips and drops 5 of the commandments busted. And he says, I have here 10 commandments. So the girl she was 12 years old. She was going to have her speech for her bat mitzvah. And she wanted to write about the 5 commandments that broke.
Did you ever tell Mel Brooks about that?
Yes, I sent him the letter.
And did he ever respond, do you know?
I don't know.
Couple things that also before we get to some of those other stories. Here's a story that we didn't really talk about, unrelated to any of your good war stories as a practicing lawyer. But how did you meet Doris?
What?
Your wife.
We meet.
What?
How did we meet? Is what he's asking.
I've told that a lot.
But I don't think we haven't recorded it.
I was representing a great singer by the name of Nancy Wilson. I was managing her as well as her lawyer, and I got her booked into the Greek Theater for 7 nights. First time it's ever happened with anybody. She was going to star in the Greek Theater for 7 nights. And Doris was joining the opening act, which is called the Doodletown Pipers. She was backstage all the time. She was watching them because she had to learn the routines, because she was going to join them the next week officially in singing with them. And so I kept seeing her. And the last night, there was a closing night party, the 7th night, and we disagreed about where it was. So it was either it was either on the stage or it was at Martoni's. And it turned out that they were sitting at 2 different tables, but we were sitting back to back. And we started talking, and it turns out we're from the same neighborhood in Chicago. Turns out that her sister's girlfriend's father was a musician who worked with my father. So, a lot of coincidences.
Yeah, those are a lot of coincidences. And I guess the rest is history.
Right. She went to Roosevelt High School. My sister went to Roosevelt High School.
So
I went to a neighboring high school.
I graduated at Roosevelt High School.
More similarities. You represented Larry Flint.
Yes, for a long time.
Actually, I'm going to cover the people that you represented next time.
Next time.
So, tell me just some other, aside from some of your favorite stories of the things that you've seen or heard or done over the years. We've talked, just
Beside meeting me, you mean?
beside meeting you, I'm going to keep it broad.
What?
I'm keeping it broad, just some of the...
You want to know the broads I met?
Actually,
I
that's
thought
not a bad story. That'll be
I actually thought that's what you said.
a separate chapter on that. No, but just broadly, like some of your favorite stories from over the years. You've done a lot in 70 years. You've seen a lot. You've represented a lot of amazing people.
You mean he's 70 years old?
So I'm trying to, and you've got some great stories like the Mel Brooks thing, and you've got some great stories like the Phil Spector. So just things that any of your favorite stories from your 70 years practicing out here on the West Coast.
Well, another one was I was representing Keith Jarrett because Steely Dan did a song called Gaucho, and Steely Dan and Keith Jarrett said, "Hey, they're using my music to the song." His song was, let's see, As Long As You Know You're Living. Well, I can't remember what the Steely Dan song was called Gaucho or Keith Jarrett's song was called As Long As You Know You're Living. But the Steely Dan song copied Keith Jarrett's song. So I called so they gave me all, Keith Jarrett gave me all the information. It was an article in Musician Magazine in which the reporter was questioning Keith Jarrett and said basically they've stolen. Oh no, it wasn't Keith Jarrett. They were interviewing Steely Dan, the two guys from Steely Dan, and the reporter said to him, "You know that your song looks like it was a direct copy of this Keith Jarrett song, et cetera, et cetera." And they kind of laughed and all that. They said, "You know, Keith, of course we're heavily influenced by him." And the reporter kept hounding at them. It's almost identical. So I rather than filing a lawsuit right away, I called Steely Dan's lawyer, who was Michael Rosenfeld, who I knew quite well. And I said to Michael, Michael, I think you have a little bit of a problem here. Keith Jarrett feels that your song, and I feel from listening to it, the Steely Dan song was a direct copy of Keith Jarrett's song. He said, "No, that's not true. It's not true. It can't be. They would never do that. I'm going to hire musicologists, and we'll get back to you." I said, "Michael, slow down. Did you read the interview in Music Magazine or Musician Magazine?" There was a long pause. I said, "Oh, you saw that." Anyway, we settled, and we got a third of the song.
You know, one of the things that I was going to follow up on something.
You look like you've been working out.
No. So I guess
Working in.
aside from any other stories that you want to share that you found entertaining over the years.
Well, yeah, another Lionel Richie one was he wrote a song called "Hello," which is a great song, and we got, I can't remember, if it was 4 or 5 lawsuits, or claims of lawsuits. At least they were going to file lawsuits on "Hello," and Lionel copied their songs. I said to Lionel, we have 4 or 5, I can't remember, and then we're going to have to deal with them. He said to me, "Why can't we have them all sue each other, and then the winner gets to sue me?" That was a good line.
That was pretty funny. Any others? Because otherwise I'm going to talk about, maybe I'll do it this way, just talk about some of the people that you've represented, some of the shows you've represented. So I'm going to start from the I'll start from the top here. These are really in no particular order, but just so I can keep them in order. You represented the Monkees.
Yes, I did.
And how did that come about?
They called me.
Monkeys called you?
Monkey.
Davy Jones, if you want to call me.
And they came to you at this stage. Did they already have the TV show?
They already had the TV show.
And so, what were they calling you about?
They didn't feel they were being paid enough money. There was some various issues they were having with the show.
Such anything you can talk about? The show's long
I
gone.
really don't remember all the details.
What were they like? I mean, what year was that? Do you recall what year that was?
No, I don't recall the year.
Well, I could figure it out if I did. This was while the show was still on the air.
While the show was still on the air, they were really nice guys. There was Davy Jones, Michael Nesmith. I can't remember the name of the
Peter
other.
Tork and Mickey Dolans.
Yeah, they were really terrific guys. Interesting thing about Davy Jones because that was as I remember, that was David Bowie's actual name.
Davy Jones was David Bowie's actual
I
name?
think so. You can look it up, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Was Davy Jones's actual name?
Huh?
Was that his real name?
Yeah, was David Bowie. I think his name was.
No, I know, but Davy Jones, was that a stage name?
I think that was his name.
And at what point what was their career like at that time? They had the TV show, and they
They
became
were doing records, but they weren't performing on the records.
right. Did you represent the people that were the
No.
Wasn't it like someone Boyce and Hart or something like that?
Boyce and Hart, they were studio musicians.
And they were the ones that were singing on the
Yeah.
album. But then the Monkees went out and eventually did touring.
Yeah.
Did you represent them while they were doing the touring? So how popular were they at that time?
Very popular.
Doing the tours.
Very popular.
Like what kind of venues were they selling out? Do you remember? Or playing at?
Nice venues.
What? How large?
They weren't stadiums. But they're probably 5,000-6,000 seaters.
Okay, so pretty big.
Oh, maybe some stadiums too. I don't remember.
Did they play? I mean, were stadiums a thing back in that era? Like playing stadiums, like Dodger Stadium? Did bands play
No,
that in
it
the
wasn't-
60s
it
and the
wasn't-
70s?
There wasn't that much of that. There wasn't that much. Although I did represent the Three Tenors. Well, Tibor Rudas, it was the impresario behind the Three Tenors, and they did stadiums.
But they were in the 80s, right? Or the 90s?
Yeah, not the 90s. I think the 80s.
Who were the three tenors?
Luciano Pavarotti.
Yeah, that's the one I know.
Karis or something like I forget his first name, and I can't remember. They're easy to look up as the Three Tenors.
And how did you come to represent them?
Okay, how I came to represent them was I got a call from Tibor Rudas. He lived on. He was actually Tibor himself was from Hungary. He was a dancer. As a young person, he moved to Australia. When Hungary was under the communist rule and all that, and he kind of escaped it when he was on tour in Australia, when he was on tour with a Hungarian troupe, and decided to stay in Australia. And he had a company called Resorts International, and they produced shows around the world. And he lived up in, when I met him, he was living on the 17-mile drive off near Carmel. And I got a call from through a recommendation of somebody I had worked with, that Tibor wanted to know if I would fly up there to meet him because he was going to do a contract for a big show at Dodger Stadium. And he had contracts with Atlantic Records for recording, video, merchandising, television, everything. And so I went up there, and I never met him before. They dropped me off at this house along the 17-mile drive, this enormous, beautiful house overlooking the ocean. And I walk in, he's lying on the couch in a bathrobe, and he's got this stack of papers, this thick, contracts for all these things, and he throws them on the floor, and he says, his first line to me was, "I hate fucking lawyers." And he says, "I want
was
you."
this?
Huh? Tibor Rudas. You know Tibor. And he says, "I want you to call Atlantic Records and tell them I'm not going to accept these contracts. If they want to do a deal with me, I want you to prepare the contracts, and I don't want any contract more than 5 pages." And I said, "How about 6?" He says, "Okay, 6." And so I called Atlantic Records, the attorney there I knew, and I said, "I have all your contracts, etc., but we're not going to use them for the concert at Dodger Stadium. I'm going to prepare the contracts, and no contract's going to be longer than 6 pages. We're going to do the video contract, the record contract, the merchandising contract, the television contract, and no contracts will be more than 6 pages. So you can't do that. You can't do that. There's no way you can do that. We have our forms. It has to be the forms and the style that we have. You can't do that. Can't do that." I said, "Call Ahmet Erdogan, who was the owner, the boss of Atlantic Records. I'll call him, but we're not going to do it." An hour later, I get a call back. Okay.
So wait, who is telling you we're not going to do it?
The attorney at Atlantic.
Do you remember who it was?
Not off the top of my head at the moment. Probably have it in my files.
Somebody in-house counsel at Atlantic Records.
Yeah.
And so you, what for something like that, just as maybe be a little academic, but because I get that with some regularity, some clients they don't like contracts, they don't like them long contracts. So like when you're doing something of that magnitude, how do you get it down to 6 pages? Like, what are the essentials, and what can you get? What do you get rid of?
What's the money? What's the money? When is it payable? What rights do they have? How long do they have the rights? But basically, what I do is it's more of an outline of terms than anything else.
Like an MOU.
Yeah.
More of a what?
MOU. Memorandum of Understanding.
How long did you represent the? Well, now that was just for the one artist. You represented the whole group, the 3 tenors, though, right?
The what? I represented the concerts for the 3 tenors. In fact, we have pictures in there, pictures of Therese with Pavarotti. So they did concert. We did Paris.
Yeah, that was rough.
We did it at the Eiffel Tower. 1 million people.
Oh my God!
1 million people.
That was fun.
So obviously you guys were there. What's it like? Was 1 million people physically present?
Yes.
How do you fit 1 million people in around?
It's a gigantic. It's not a venue. It's open air.
Well, around the Eiffel Tower, I see it's open. I know it's open air. Where were they? They had to have been elevated. Where were they? Were they on the tower?
It's the Champ de Mars.
It's a
big area.
It's very huge.
By the Eiffel Tower and underneath the Eiffel Tower. There's no structure other than the Eiffel Tower, so you can see right through it. So they construct the stage so that you're facing the Eiffel Tower and you can see right through the Eiffel Tower, right? So they constructed the stage, and so probably they had several thousand people would sit on the chairs, and then the rest were people standing.
Where were you?
I was there. We were.
No, I know.
We
Where
were
relative
sitting,
to the performance?
we were sitting there in the first few rows.
First few rows. And what did that look like, looking around and seeing 1 million people?
Oh, it was phenomenal.
It was wonderful.
It was phenomenal. We had a great experience. The most interesting experience of all was we were in London. I don't know what we were there for, and I got a call. I didn't know about this thing. I got a call from Tibor, and he says, "I understand you're in London." I said, "Yeah, yes, we are." He said, well, you got to meet me tonight at such and such an airport, private airport. We're flying to Paris tonight. We're going to talk to the mayor in the morning to make arrangements for a concert at the Eiffel Tower. I said, okay. So we pack up and everything, and we get a cab to the whatever the private airport was outside of London, and we get on a private jet, and we fly to Paris.
It was fun.
I can't remember the name of the airport. It's a very famous airport. It's the airport where Charles Lindbergh landed when he did the solo flight in 1927, I think, or something like that. Anyway, very famous airport. Still exists. It's now a private airport. And so we flew there. We got there at 2 in the morning. The limo picks us up, takes us to the Ritz Hotel, which was then the most fancy hotel in the world, in Place Vendôme in Paris. Drops us off. We go up. We're in a suite that is incredible. Our bedroom was the size of this living room. Okay. Plus we had a living room. And we overlooked the plaza outside, and Doris said, "I'm never leaving." It was an incredible experience. And then the next morning, they pick us up. They pick me up. Wrong. I was late, and so they left. So I had to get a cab and get to the mayor's office. I get to the mayor's office. Tibor does not speak French. The mayor at that time did not speak English, but we had a translator for Tibor. I understood a good portion of what the mayor was saying.
French.
And so he had his staff there, and Tibor. I was there with Tibor and Tibor's stage manager, if you will, and a couple other people, and the translator. And the mayor goes on in French about how difficult this will be at the Eiffel Tower to do this, and the streets that have to be closed off, and how this is almost impossible to do. And he doesn't
Was I with you at that one?
Huh?
Was I with you?
No. You were in the hotel. And he didn't know whether he could come this off or not. There's so many arrangements had to be made. He was going on and on and on how this is going to be impossible. And of course, this was being translated to Tibor. And then all of a sudden, Tibor, who had no patience, stood up and shouting in English, "I don't care what the fuck you're saying here. No motherfucker's going to tell me what to do, and how we're going to do this." And then the translator translated to him in French. Tibor is very excited to do this concert with you. We got it done, obviously.
Okay, see, now that's a great story. That has to be the biggest show that you've ever been at, though, right?
That was probably the biggest show I've ever been at.
I mean, that's the biggest show I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Did you actually attend the Live Aid show? When you did USA for Africa, not...
Yeah, the USA for Africa was the recording session.
Right, but did they do a live one? Was that Live
we
Aid?
did USA. We did.
I was in there.
We did Hands Across America the next year.
Okay, but Hands Across America was not. That was not a concert. That was.
No.
But how did?
There was no concert for USA for Africa either. Also, it was just a recording.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking Live Aid, but I think that was the English version. But how did the Hands Across America idea originate and come to fruition? Because that's such a bizarre concept in a great way that to get everybody
America?
link up all the way across the United States.
We have an organization that I set up legally called USA for Africa. Ken Cragen was the president of it, and he was the one who aggressively put everything together for the original recording. He did a great job on that. And then we have our meetings, because we're collecting money, and where we have our monthly or bi-monthly meetings with the board, decide what we're going to do with the money and how we're going to get it over to Africa. We're going to buy this goods, services, and things that we're going to do to send over. And then Ken Gregan says, I have a great idea. This would be for the following year. We should do Hands Across America, and he described. And there's a good story attached to that, too. And then we all said, you're crazy. You can't do this. There's no way you can do this. He said, we can do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And he goes out and gets a sponsor. I think it was Coca-Cola for $5 million. And so we started making arrangements. And then I said, basically, we didn't have insurance. I said, we can't do this event without insurance. We've got to have insurance. God knows what could happen. And so I said, I'm not going to let this go forward unless we have insurance. And we're all doing battles with each other about this thing. And then finally, I said, okay, the board. So I said, this weekend on Saturday, we're going to come to my house here today. We're going to have lunch, and we're going to try and resolve it. We can't resolve it this Saturday. It's off, as far as I'm concerned. And so all the board was going to show up. It was going to be Kerry Belafonte, Marlon Jackson, Michael Henry showed up at one board meeting.
Michael who?
Jackson.
Oh, Jackson.
He didn't show up for that. Kenny Rogers showed up. Kerry Belafonte showed up. Quincy Jones showed up.
These were all here at the house?
Yes.
Okay.
So there was great tension because Ken really wanted this to go off. I said, you can't do it. We don't have insurance. And there was a battle. Some people were on one side, some people were on the other side. So
When did I come in?
when did you what?
When did I join in?
So you live here, remember?
Oh. Well,
So Doris had a great idea. Why don't we get cap pistols and put a cap pistol before everybody's plate? So we went out and got
wanted to get a what?
cap pistols.
Oh.
And so we put cap pistols in front of everybody's plate on the dining room. It was all set up. And when everybody came in, they took a look at the cap pistol. They all fell out laughing, and everybody was in a good mood. And we got the issue solved.
So how did you, which is a great story, how did you resolve it? Obviously,
We went ahead,
they decided to get
we-
insurance.
We had some people who were willing to get the insurance, put up the insurance.
What particular insurance covers something like that?
Well, liability insurance.
Just like a commercial liability?
General liability
General
insurance. We did wind up with two nonsensical claims. That was it. One claim that they claimed against the insurance company was, of course, it was not paid. They brought their own chair, and the chair broke, and they fell. They got injured, but we had no liability for that. The other one was a guy and a girl. His girlfriend came in his truck, and then when they left, she started giving him sex in the truck. And they ran off the road to hit a tree, and they sued us.
Oh, should have covered that claim. So, aside from those incidents, it went off
Yeah.
kind of without a hitch.
Yeah.
But, like, where? First of all, where were you?
We were at the Queen Mary, where it started. That was the beginning of the
So,
line.
the beginning on the West Coast was Queen
Yeah.
Mary, and it ended in New York, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
And did it hit all 50 states?
Yeah.
Or did it
Well, I
take
don't
a
know if
straight
it
line?
would have hit all 50 states.
It would have to take a straight line.
It was across the country.
How many people participated in it?
I don't know. There are facts concerning, but I don't remember what they are.
All right, so that's something I can look up.
Yeah.
But that's a wild idea. What did he just to get people to hold hands all the way across the country? And obviously, it's never
That was
been.
Ken Cragen's idea.
How did you guys raise money? Was it a fundraising?
We have between the two. I think between the two events, we only did two events. We've raised over $100 million.
Between the two.
Money still coming. Money comes in every year at the rate of $200,000-300,000 a year. We don't do anything.
Yeah, which is amazing to this day that it's still coming in.
Wow. It still comes in that.
Huh?
It still comes in.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to eventually want to make my way through this list. I have these on here in no particular order, and I am going to try to figure out. So I'll have to go